welcome to Jessie Bear Book Club, the only book club where we don't always talk about books. Today, we are reviewing the final 2 episodes of The Mirror and the Light, Wolf Hall Season 2. So, I found both these episodes a bit of a mixed bag. Some really good bits, some not so good bits. But again, this is all personal opinion. Sorry if I'm moving around a lot. I'm on the sofa and I just, trying to get comfy. Anyway, so I've got both episodes. I got my remotes and I'm going to fast forward through episode 5 and we'll talk through that. And then we will watch the final episode together. Well, I'll fast forward through it. I literally just watched it while I had lunch. And then we can talk about that as well. So, episode 5 starts off with Henry about to marry Anna of Cleves, and I like the way they doctored the portrait. So the portrait looked like the actress playing Anna. I thought that was really good. Also, another question, is the Cleves ambassador Jamie Sophie's brother from Peep Show? Because I think it is, but I haven't been bothered to go on IMDb to look it up or anything. So if anybody knows, leave it down below in the comments. So we're continuing to fast forward. And what have we got? Cromwell and the Lady Mary again. I don't really know too much about the Lady Mary Cromwell plot this season. It doesn't go into too much detail about their relationship. I mean, you see a little bit of it. It's mainly just her liking him because he's kind to her and then warning him off. So I'm not 100% sure. I feel like these two's relationship should have been given more screen time in this episode. I think they could have cut out Wolsey's daughter. I honestly think they could have cut out Cromwell's daughter, from the Netherlands as well, and put in more of Lady Mary and more of the Margaret Douglas plot, because I don't feel like Lady Mary goes anywhere. That's just my thoughts. The actress playing her is really, really good, and I quite liked the romance in episode 5 where, it's not a romance, but it's Lady Mary getting courted by the German prince, and you always want Mary to find love. I mean, I always do. I mean, it's so sad. Her whole life is so sad. So seeing her have a little bit of a flirt with the German prince was really nice. I liked it. And then Cromwell watching them round like the corner like some sort of cuckold was just odd. I mean, it kind of leads into him fancying her, so I got it, but not really what I was expecting. If you guys are watching, can you please give this video a like, because it really helps out the channel. And we have Henry in all his regalia, doing his I'm the king bit, which I really enjoyed. Every time we see Henry in council, I think he gets better and better. Damian Lewis is superb. We then get kind of the juxtaposition of Cromwell at home with his son and his adopted sons, meeting out tasks and obviously showing preference for his blood, and Call Me Risley getting a little peeved off and storming out. And that kind of comes back into play in the final episode. So I can see where this was put in, and I liked it. I thought that was a really good kind of character choice by Hilary Mantel and the people making this. Hello, Finley. Okay, fast forwarding again. Where do we get to? I like the bit, yes, when Henry is telling Cromwell about when they went to go and look at the armories. I thought that was brilliant because, of course, they never go, and it's just this whole imagined conversation, like this whole imagined day out that they have, which is, it's kind of a cute shared memory, it's a shared interest, and I really liked that. And I remember reading about that when I read the first 2 books. So for me, as someone who only read the first 2 books and not the 3rd one, I was like, oh, I get that. That's really nice. I like that. I have to admit, watching this hasn't made me want to go back and read The Mirror and the Light, just because Hilary Mantel has a really weird way of writing stuff. Does anybody else agree? Okay, now we get to the fun bit. We get to see the maids in waiting for Anne of Cleves, and we get a little sneak peek at Catherine Howard. I kind of feel for the actress playing Catherine Howard in this show because she doesn't get like a single line this whole show, which is slightly upsetting. I mean, if you're the actress cast to play Catherine Howard and she looks the part, the girl looks amazing. I'll have to look up who the actress is and maybe follow her on Instagram. To not then get a line, she's got that perfect kind of Tamsin Merchant vacant stare where she's like, which I adored. I thought it was really, really good. That's just my fiance coming home, so I'll tell him I'm on a live and that'll be fine. Jane Rotsford is good, but almost too friendly, you know, in my opinion. So I think she should have been a little sharper, but it is what it is. And we're gonna fast forward again. I'm on a live, baby. Henry dressing up. This has to be my favorite part of this whole season, is Henry wanting to dress up to go and find Anne of Cleves. It was just so funny and so cute, and Damian Lewis is so excited in this scene about dressing up like a Russian, or, you know, they're making jokes about him dressing up in his Turkish costume, and he wants to be a shepherd, and it's kind of Henry, like boy Henry, the way people imagine young Henry when he was with Catherine of Aragon, and they talk about it. He mentions this. He's like, "Oh, the dowager always used to pretend she didn't know who I was," and it was just what they did. It was courtly entertainment, courtly drama, and definitely this elevated this whole season for me. Just this one scene when he's getting out all the costumes and trying on the hat, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'll be a Russian with these big boots," and he's shaking them. It was really, really cute. So, moving along again, we discover how badly Henry dressing up and going to go see Anne of Cleves went. And it's just, we all know it's bad. I mean, if you know anything about history, you know this didn't go well. And I kind of wish we'd got to see it. But again, one of the problems with this TV show is everything is from Cromwell's perspective. So if Cromwell didn't see it, we as an audience don't get to see it, which is unfortunate because some of the best bits of history at this time Cromwell wasn't there for. So you just have to go along with it. We're fast forwarding again. The lady they got to play Anne of Cleves, I thought was really, really, really good. She's so pale and so tall, and that was one thing Henry always said, he wanted a big wife, and then he got a big wife and he didn't like it. So, you know, that's a thing. Her wedding costume, Anne of Cleves' wedding costume in this show, is amazing, and all of Henry's costumes these last two episodes are very regal, very purple, and I kind of feel like they blew all the budget on these last two episodes when it came to costumes, because they have all the maidens dressed up and stuff, and Henry in new costumes, and that is not something that they did with Jane. Jane only had like 2 dresses for this whole show, which kind of annoyed me because I wanted to see her in like more costumes. I love a costume. I did fashion at uni. I love a good costume, you know? And I think Anne of Cleves' wedding outfit is just perfect. That weird hat that has like the turnips. It's like that. I just loved it. And the fact that Henry won't kiss her. There's also then like the disgusting bit where Jane Rochford is like, he put his fingers in her, which I just like, why did they put that in? It doesn't like go with the rest of like the show at all. It seems just a bit odd. But Anna of Cleves, the actress, I think playing her looks a little bit like Tilda Swinton, just a little bit. I think it's like the pale eyebrows. And again, no lines for Catherine Howard. Henry gets the clock from the Duke of Cleves. Well, Cromwell gets the clock and immediately gives it to Henry. And he was doing this throughout this season, just giving Henry gifts that he is going to give someone, or letting Henry take the gift. So that's the whole thing. And he's really worried that this marriage hasn't worked out, and he's pushing for Lutheranism. He has that standoff with Norfolk about closing down the monastery where Thomas Howard's ancestors are buried, which I thought was really good. I thought that whole scene was really realistic about how someone like the Duke of Norfolk would feel if the Abbey was closed down. So again, really good. I don't think religion played enough of a part in this season. I thought it played a large role in the first season, but this second season it's hardly really mentioned apart from the Pilgrimage of Grace, which mostly happens off screen. So yeah, like it almost seems like it's crammed in. I know it's not, but I think it didn't get enough focus. Rehydrating. So, and then you know there's the antagonism between Norfolk and Cromwell, and of course Cromwell bringing down Anne Boleyn, his niece, and then also you know Thomas Howard trying to put another niece on the throne. I'm talking about Wolf Hall right now. It's in the title of the video. I think it's really sad where Cromwell thinks he's getting promoted, and he has that moment with Rafe and Call Me where he's like, oh, we're all getting promoted, you know, the king's being really kind, this is all brilliant, and you know it's not. And then that's straight after that you get the minute with Bess, his daughter-in-law, who's like, no, you're wrong, like the Howards are in the ascendant at the moment. And he kind of plays it off. He's like, oh, it's no big deal, like we'll work around this. And then they walk in together. You know, he walks into the council room and you just know they're about to jump on him. And I found it kind of sad. This, I think, was the best episode of the whole season, in all fairness. I really thought this is it. And it got me really excited for the final episode, the brawling scene where Cromwell is kind of kicked out of the council chamber and all the lords are fighting. I thought that was brilliant. And of course Cromwell did actually do that. And I think this episode really was the pinnacle. It almost could have ended here and I would have been happy. You know, he gets taken away and you know it's coming. Because by the time we get to the final episode, which I just watched, The Light, I found the first half of this episode incredibly dull. All the interviewing scenes with Stephen Gardner and Richard Rich and the Duke of Norfolk, they just go on for literally ever. And they're asking him the stupidest questions about purple doublets and ermine and the fact he sent the Lady Mary a gift and why he brought to light Margaret Douglas's trial and had her let off lightly. So this whole scene, this first kind of 30 minutes of this episode is just, it could have been 10. It could have been 10 minutes. And you would have got the sense of there are trumped up charges. There aren't actually any charges. These men have made an occasion to get rid of him. Again, one of the reasons why I said it could have ended at episode 5. I mean, the actor playing Cromwell, Mark, whatever his name is very, very good. You know, the bits where he tears up when he's talking. But I kind of was hoping they would bring up some references to his daughters and maybe the fact he sees Mary in his daughters, or the fact he swore to look after Mary to her mother, Catherine of Aragon. There was none of that. So it keeps going. I'm gonna like fast forward again, and like, so we're 21 minutes. Kitty! Don't scratch the wall. Come on. Sorry, that was my cat. And I don't want her scratching the wall because she's trying to get in under the stairs. She's been doing this a lot lately. She's always scratching at the door to get in. So yeah, we're now nearly 25 minutes into episode 3. No, the final episode. And it's just flashbacks of the dying cardinal and Cromwell being interviewed. And that's it. That is it. And it just goes on and on and on, and I got kind of sick of it. The best bits of this episode, in my view, were Wriothesley and Cromwell talking. Those were the best bits. Two very good actors doing what they do best, and the emotion there, I kind of feel like Risley was the son Cromwell wanted and didn't have because Gregory isn't that bright. And you get the sense, because you know Risley was adopted, I think Risley's his nephew, if I'm correct. So it continues, and I like the fact that Cromwell pointed out that Henry would bankrupt the country. Yes, I know, Kitty. I know, I'll be done soon. So he points that out. He says, you know, Henry will go to war with everybody and none of you will be able to manage and you'll all get set off against each other. I'm the only one who can manage. But it just continues and continues and continues, and there's lots of flashbacks. There's flashbacks to Geoffrey's wedding when he gets Geoffrey to denounce him, and I don't know, this episode felt a little flat for me. I did love the bit where Charles Brandon came in, and that happens about 38 minutes in. 38 minutes in. That is when Charles Brandon comes in with his like plan to be like, admit you're a heretic, Henry will let you go. And of course that doesn't happen. But I thought that was really good and funny. But that was, for me, the high point of this whole episode. I also liked Risley talking to Henry about Cromwell and reading Cromwell's letter to Henry. I thought that was very emotional. I kind of wanted to see some heads roll though. I really thought we would get a proper like head moment with Cromwell, but instead we just get him walking towards that, you know, abbey that he wanted to buy, which I thought was a bit lackluster. I felt slightly cheated, the same way I felt cheated when in Alison Weir's books we get death scenes for the first four queens, and then Catherine Howard is like cut to black, soprano style. Just, it's not good. Bangers and mash. Okay, so I felt cheated because we got some Anne Boleyn like good Claire Foy losing her head bits, and then we didn't get that. So again, a bit of a change of tone. I definitely don't think season 2 is as good as season 1. I did like seeing all kind of the men in Cromwell's life standing to the side, taking a moment when Cromwell died to think about him. You get Geoffrey, you get Risley, you get Colmy, you get Risley, you get Henry, and they're all just kind of like, you know, it's happening. This is it. And they're waiting to hear, you know, the cannon fire. I also thought, because famously Cromwell died really badly with the executioner taking something ridiculous like 12 strokes to take his head off, that we'd get a bit of that, and we didn't. So I don't know, I think this whole season it's gonna get like a 7 out of 10, maybe yeah, I'll go 7. I'm gonna give this whole season 7 out of 10. I think it could have been better. I think they missed the mark slightly compared to season 1, and they didn't have as much source material. But if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy historical fiction content. I will see you all next time. Bye. I don't want to start a poll. I want to exit.